So throughout October, I talked about birth rates and the future of the world. Well, this year we have really bad news for some countries in the world. World. So there are some countries you would think that would have pretty high birth rates. Okay, there are some countries that would think that would have pretty high birth rates. South Asia, Mexico, Latin America. But reality is different than the truth, than what you would think. Okay, the highest birth rate in the world is Niger. So, unfortunately, because this is not TikTok, I can actually say the country's name. Yeah. The only country I think has seen a birth rate increase is Afghanistan, mostly because of the Taliban brought back the strict rules, but most of the countries are trending down. Africa still has the highest birth rate in the world, which is to nobody's surprise. But let me go down to lower countries on the list. Pakistan and other countries on the list, Iraq, Gabon, Namibia, as well. Israel, which has the most consistent birth rate in the world at 2.90. Kazakhstan, which used to have a very low birth rate, is one of the most successful countries in the world that has successfully recovered the birth rates from very low. So congratulations, Kazakhstan. As well, then we go further down, Haiti. Haiti is a country you'd think that would have a higher birth rate, but no, it does not. Botswana, Syria, Philippines, Oman, Libya, Paraguay, Guatemala, and then we have Honduras, Cambodia, Suriname, Morocco, Nicaragua. So Central America has higher birth rates than Mexico, which is weird because you would think that Mexico would be with these countries. But then we have the world, we have Venezuela, Peru, Indonesia, Myanmar, Kuwait, Tunisia. And we go further down here. And these are anything below this is considered not replacement level. So the first two countries that will be below replacement is Nepal and India, which is very interesting. Nepal and India. India, you'd assume that people in India would have a lot of kids. Okay, but India's birth rate has fallen below 2.1. Again, India does have a lot of people. Sri Lanka's birth rate is only 2. Bangladesh's birth rate is only 2. Vietnam's birth rate has fallen to 1.9 as well. But we have some of these countries. Mexico's birth rate is 1.9. A power of Argentina's birth rate of 1.9. Yes, Mexico had the birth rate lower than a country like Georgia as well. And then we have France, which I think had the highest birth rate in all of Europe. Oh, actually, Faroe Islands does, but France having the highest birth rate in all of Europe. North Korea, which is at 1.82. El Salvador, which is also at 1.82. Which is very interesting that El Salvador's birth rate is lower than the rest of Central America. They have Colombia and Iran Iran has a worse birth rate than Czech Republic and Moldova as well. The United States has a birth rate at 1.64, which is on par with Brazil, Denmark, and Sweden and Ireland. Then you go even further below. Hungary's birth rate is actually recovering. Hungary actually used to have one of the lowest birth rates in the world, but actually have increased. Then we have most of Europe here, but then we have East Asia. Yep, East Asia is near the bottom. You have Japan of 1.3, China of 1.2, and the lowest in the world is South Korea, Hong Kong, Puerto Rico, British Virgin Islands, and Macau. Macau and Hong Kong are cities. British Virgin Island, well, it sucks to be them. And Puerto Rico, that's pretty bad. Okay, 0.9 birth rate in Puerto Rico. And South Korea having the lowest in the world. The region with the lowest in the world is Central Europe and the Baltics, North America, and East Asia and the Pacific. As well. Here's a different list. So these different lists are all different as well. For example, you have Iran here. Here, much higher. as well. And Taiwan is also included in this. So we have various here. Then we have the 2023 update for the world birth rates. Here. You can see that Africa all have a pretty high one. South America, it's around 2. But then we have the 2023 estimates, which is of course, which this site is probably not the most reliable site in the world. But Mexico's birth rate is at 2.11. Aussie is at 2.1. South Africa is actually below replacement. America's birth rate is apparently recovering, despite, according to news sites, America's birth rate is the lowest it has ever been. Yeah. But then we have macro trends. This is a site I like to use. Macro trends shows all the countries in the world. South Korea still has the lowest birth rate in the entire world. You can show China's declining, massive declining birth rate as well. Some countries have had an increase, like Japan for a bit, and then they declined again as well. But some countries you think have a high birth rate are actually pretty low. Jamaica's near the bottom on this one. Yeah. Italy is really low. Spain is pretty low. Ukraine is pretty low. But again, Ukraine is currently in a war with Russia. So you can't really expect Ukraine's fertility rate to be pretty high. Malta's is pretty low. Singapore's is pretty low. And Puerto Rico is still among the lowest in the world. But then we have some countries where the birth rates are going up. Not every country's birth rate is going down. Okay. Georgia had a baby boom, but now it's going back down again as well. Well, again, as well. What is the United States? So the United States is currently here. Let's go over with the USA as a whole. New Zealand. But Warsaw. Okay, Warsaw's currently at okay, Warsaw's probably not the country I figure of. But Warsaw apparently is supposed to have a birth rate increase in the future. Yeah. As well. But again, a lot of these sites, But yeah, a lot of countries are having a pretty big decline in fertility rates as well. This is actually very similar to the other one. The other one that was shown on Wikipedia. So, yeah. So basically, this is the same one as the Wikipedia one, essentially. Then we have the Philippines birth rate here. Was according to the Philippines, they have sharpest decline birth rate down to 1.9. Which they have not updated that as well. But everywhere around the world is suffering this problem. Okay. Yeah. Everywhere around the world is suffering this problem. And I think for third world countries, it's only going to get worse before it gets better. I think the West is starting to bottom out in terms of this, and might start finally recovering in the birth rates in the 2030s and 2040s, induced by a religious revival. But I think this is, for third world countries, this is going to be a big problem for them. For example, Philippines as well. Uh, Down to 1.9. You can go to Mexico, which is listed its birth rate at 1.9. Which Mexico, people think that Mexico has a high birth rate, but Mexico is pretty low. Even Mexico as well. And some say that Mexico has a very similar fertility rate to America. Which, yeah. Yeah. And the other country and of course we gotta talk about is India. Okay? And I think unlike, places like America, with a more equipped to deal with massive population declines than places like Mexico, India, Brazil, and of course Sri Lanka, and Philippines, and of course China. I think the most drastic of this is China. Okay, China is now going through the same thing that Japan and Korea are going through as well. India's fertility rate is going down to 2. Okay? Once again, India is a very extremely populated country as well. But some parts of India is already declining population because of the nationwide birth rate as well. And then, of course, we can talk about East Asia all day. But yeah, this is the current birth crisis of the world. The only place that's really not suffering this problem is Africa. Okay? And look at China's population. China's population, I think, for the first time this year, lost people. Okay, for the first time, lost people. And I think the demographic decline of literally every country in the world is going to have massive impact on every country. Okay? From the smallest country in the world to the largest country in the world. Okay, it's going to impact everybody. Okay? And I think we're really going to go through a lost world. Okay? We're going to go through a renewed world time of religion and nationalism, which are always starting to see worldwide. Nationalism is rising across the world, if you do not know. But, yeah. And the people, and there's nothing they're going to do about that. Rising nationalism, especially ethnic nationalism, is going to rise among every ethnic group in the world. Every people group in the world is going to have a rising ethnic nationalism. And I think that's what's going to save many countries from total collapse by 1200. And of course, a revival of the tradition's family values as well. Goodbye.